Welcome to Preserving Your Wealth with Mike McCormick, where we talk about smart ways to invest and preserve your money. Mike is a registered investment advisor with McCormick Financial Advisors in Bozeman, Montana. As an independent fiduciary, Mike does not receive commissions from any of the products or investments mentioned on this program. Consult a professional before making any investment decision. You can find old shows archived at McCormickFinancialadvisors.com. Learn, participate, interact.
And Mike McCormick's in the house. How you doing?
I'm great.
Shane Metalman on the line with us.
Hey, Shane. Happy February.
Yeah. Hey, I need to give a quick shout out to some folks down in Four Corners. John and Jaron are down there. I think down in Four Corners. A great group of guys that listen to us down there every day. So we appreciate them very much. And thanks for listening. And hopefully Mike has some advice for small business owners. And, always.
Hey, this is a town of small business owners. That's the business of town.
Amen.
And it is tax time, and it's time to help them allocate their resources, pay less in taxes. And what I always tell them is that, the best thing they can do is reinvest in their own business.
Yeah.
That's where the gains are. That's where the value is. It gets tricky when small business owners want to retire. What people get for their business is generally less than what it should be, maybe. I don't know. I mean, it's a fair market value. It's what people would pay for it.
Well, one of the things you have with a small business is something called blue sky, which is where the business owner thinks, I've got all these customers, and I'm sure they're going to stay with you.
Yeah, right.
And that's my blue sky. I got all these people. I got all these accounts. Now, maybe some of them haven't been in for 6 years, but, I've got all these accounts over here.
Yeah. Yeah.
They got charge accounts here. That's accounts receivable for you.
No,
so that business is worth a lot more than what you see just surrounding you here.
And that's the sales job, of course,
right.
too. So, yes, blue sky in business is very difficult to get paid for. It can be real. Usually in any buy-sell, there's some agreement for the seller to stay on.
Well, that's when you go into the bank. I say, okay, I just signed a big deal with Walmart. They've guaranteed me they're going to buy this, they're going to buy X number of my widgets. So I need to upgrade my tooling and hire 3 or 4 more people to satisfy this demand. So you've got an accounts receivable promise there that you can negotiate with.
And you can literally bank on that.
And you can, yeah.
The flip side is that when I was in the construction business, I played developer a couple building cycles ago. And, inevitably the sheetrock partnership of so-and-so and so-and-so would go south, right? Somebody was working too hard. Somebody was playing too much. And so they would break up. Yeah. And then they would haggle over the value of their business, which was, in reality, the value of the business is what are the tools worth at a pawn shop level? I mean, there's really hardly any value there. But they would try and argue that because I was a production builder and I had 10 of, things lined up, that there was value to the company. And I remember one time some guy said, hey, would you put that in writing? I said, hey,
I don't think so.
I don't think so. And what's your partner's cell phone number? Because he's the one I'm going to hire to finish this job up here.
Right,
he's the one that's actually the worker. You're the one that's the dreamer.
Yeah, right.
No, selling your business as a small business owner is a real problem, and it takes planning. It takes your best asset is your CPA in that regard. Have a good accountant. They'll help you negotiate that deal. And frequently it ends up being, and this is the sad reality, it's better for you to maybe keep managing the business for another 5 years and promote somebody and, pay somebody more to do the things you don't like to do.
Yeah, if you could sell it internally to somebody that knows the business or has learned it, then
because 3 times net earnings is just a general rule of thumb. Each industry is very different. If it's a dry cleaner or if it's a sheetrock company, whatever, it's all different. But 3 times earnings is 3 years of what you would make if you did the job. Mm-hmm. And you get to pay taxes all at once at an accelerated rate. So it ends up being a lot like 2-point-something years of value. And you're like, well, shoot, why wouldn't I just, limp this thing to the goal line on my own and I'll end up with more money.
Right, yeah. That would work.
So that's the hard part.
Well, as Shane would tell you, owning a restaurant is is only as good as the chef. The chef stays.
Did you own a restaurant, Shane, or do you own restaurants?
Oh yeah, several. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
My comment in this regard. Yeah, and I chefed and worked the front and did all the jobs in the restaurant. I think the most important thing is if you have a successful business, you want to own the property and the building. Biggest equity is in the property in the building, particularly if it's in a small town or a successful business downtown. Mm-hmm. When you own a restaurant, because of the cycle of the industry, which I won't get into because I'll take up time of Mike's that I don't want to, but at the end of the day, really what you end up doing is having a building and a property to sell. So if they don't want to continue the restaurant and they want to tear down the building or to use it for some other purpose, you'll get a far better price. So my advice to anyone is, if you got a successful business now and you're a youngin', find a piece of property, own the property, build your building or shop on that property, and that's your equity for the future as well as a business that you're creating.
Yeah. We have an example of that here, Clark's Fork Restaurant at 19th and Oak.
Sure.
Jeff Riggs, who runs that, and two others, I think, around the state, was turned down by 11 banks. 11 banks turned him down for a business loan because he wanted to own the property and the building, exactly as Shane is alluding to. And the 12th bank said yes. So
I've heard it said that, in that model, and this is from somebody that was in gas stations.
Yeah,
and convenience stores.
But restaurants are always a risky investment.
Oh gosh, But the way that this gas station convenience store owner framed it to me said, the gas station convenience store is there to pay me a wage and allow me to pay the taxes on the property. Mm-hmm. The property is there for my retirement.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's the punch out.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you can own it, by all means, or if you could just own property and live, particularly commercial property, if there's probably less chance of a business destroying your commercial property than there is a renter destroying your apartment.
True, but there's a caveat in there. Yeah. I mean, my business is incredibly lean on manpower. I've got a few contract employees. I need a computer. I need a telephone. I need a printer. I need a scanner.
Right.
For me to own property would require me to sublease. I'd have to be a landlord. I'd have to be a property manager. I'd have to be a manager.
A repair guy and everything else.
Exactly.
That goes with it,
exactly. So it might happen for me someday, but right now I'm enjoying the aspect of not having to deal with all of that. If my business required me to have an employee, a staff of 10 to 15 and trucks and a shop, well, heck yeah, then that's the right model for owning property. Mm-hmm. But, I should be downtown. I should be in a nice appointed office, and I should have a front desk staff. And for me to do that, it wouldn't be fair to my clients. I'd have to charge them too much, basically.
Yeah. Well, we're getting kicked out of this place in a couple of years, I think.
I can't believe we're at the little house that could here.
Yeah. I think they're planning on flattening this building and the cosmetic college next door and putting up something on this block.
It's one of the 4 cranes can just reach over here and pick this whole thing up, probably.
They'll start dumping us out of here. So, yeah. So I don't know. That's a couple of years away though, so we're not going anywhere immediately. But
you never know in this town.
Well, that's true.
You never know.
Yeah, it could. Yeah, we could be kicked out tomorrow.
The new parking garage could be right on our head.
That's it. That's probably what'll go in here. I don't know. But yeah, there's no question. There's tons of construction going on here. I mean,
oh my gosh. It's unrecognizable.
Yeah. I know. I went by the Black Olive building. I used to work. My first job in Bozeman was in that chiropractic place.
Yeah.
I worked in the basement there. It was my first job in Bozeman. And I always thought they should probably make that a historic site. That Tom worked in this.
Well, I'm looking at the shroud of Tom that's on the wall here.
Oh, the tapestry we got. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you put that up on your Facebook or whatever?
I haven't yet. Shane hasn't seen that yet. It's almost a full wall of Tom things, Shane. So
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
It's impressive to the point of almost intimidating. I got to tell you, I got to not look at it.
We got that from a listener at the Bozeman banquet. Gave me that. So,
oh, excellent.
Yeah. So kind of a nice deal.
Shroud of Tom.
Yeah. Right.
Well, we got stock markets. Well, they're not open, but we hit new highs again, a couple days ago, and then yesterday was negative for a bit, and it came up. Same conversations with clients. When's this going to end? I'm worried about fill in the blank. Same response from me. Probably not yet. And then we had notes from the federal chairman, from the whole Fed, come out, and Powell
testified last week or whatever.
Something came out last night. Yeah. And he said, things are good. Things are good. If they get bad, we know what to do. And he is a banker, and he's shown that he will massage this thing. And there's still an 80% chance that they'll cut this year, according to people that vote. And I don't know who they are that vote, but they ask money managers, economists, and bigwigs, and they think that there's still a cut happening this year. I'm surprised. I don't see that happening. The coronavirus is keeping them in check from raising, and there's no inflation that's evident right now. Yeah. So, steady as she goes.
Tariffs aren't hurting anyone particularly.
Not anybody I know. Yeah. But now, I think we're at the stage of the economy too where we're getting a bit of a pause in the market, a couple small pullbacks, and I think that we may be shifting a bit away from the growth momentum stocks. Think Microsoft, Tesla. Things like that are fashionable, and getting more into the things that the other companies that haven't participated.
Well, I think everybody, we've had the FANG stocks for a number of years now, and I think everybody's trying to find where's the next Facebook, where's the next Netflix, where's the next Google, or where's the next
well, here's the thought
Amazon
on that, Tom,
or
right?
whatever.
So in my model portfolios, I made a few changes that I'd actually like to talk about today about that for this calendar year. But one is that in any portfolio, there's the idea that, okay, we have a sort of the staples that we put in there, the steady as she goes, the long equity. I'm talking about portfolios that have 10 or more years. We're not trying to time the market. We're not trying to game it. There's a few things that you put in there that are very Vanguard-y, and that's the majority of what you hold. Now, there's also the opportunity to say, okay, well, we're rebalancing on a quarterly level, and we have the opportunity to bring things in or accentuate different areas. And, of course, technology is something that we've really been accentuating. And everybody has. This is not a secret. And it has been improving people's gains for a long time. Well, I had a client say, hey, how come I own Apple and 4 different of your funds? I said, well, we have the funds that are there for long-term growth, and we have the funds that are there for opportunistic growth. And just so happens that Apple's a part of all of it, right? So you own Apple a few different ways. It doesn't cost you extra because these funds are all low-cost exchange-traded funds. And I've also recently taken the technology index and said, hey, instead of doing a market cap weighted technology index, which means that the biggest tech companies would have the largest percentage ownership, we're going to do an equal weight ownership. And that means that if there was 50 companies in your basket of technology stocks that you want to invest in, you would own each one equally. And what that does is that accentuates the small companies, because I think that there's a good chance that Microsoft, Apple will continue to grow. They'll continue to do well. We want to continue to own them. But in order to get their growth, they're going to be looking for the smaller companies and buying them up. That's where I think that stage might be at. Again, this is not advice for everybody, but it's one way that you can say, okay, at some point, this momentum, these headliner names that are shiny, that have these valuations that are fanciful, they're going to stall out. So there's different ways that you can manage that in your portfolio.
Yeah. Well, I think, as Shane and I have talked about earlier today, the streaming services versus cable TV, and, they're laying all this fiber optic and everything for, which I guess will be fine for the internet or whatever, but the 5G, Shane and I think both agree that television, as we know it, is leaving. And streaming is coming. Well,
I finally got the family to be okay with cutting the cable.
Yeah.
And I walked in with my cable box, and I did not get any pushback. I did not get the, what would it take? How about if we give you the free sports package? I didn't get any pushback at all. They said, okay.
No free cable channels for a year.
And I also got, after 30 days, you can get the new offer on our new streaming service.
Ooh.
Yes.
Right.
So even Spectrum Charter's playing the game of, okay, we get it.
Yeah.
But I have to keep my, my Wi-Fi internet thing going. So they're still getting me on the hook.
Well, what do they charge you for Wi-Fi?
Great question. $80 after taxes. $79.99 is what I saw.
Yeah. Wow. $20 for
now,
your
excuse
phone.
me. I've got 10. They said my phone. They said is $10.
Oh, okay.
And my mother-in-law is insisting that we keep our landline.
Yeah.
even though everybody's got a cell phone, because she doesn't want to have to choose which granddaughter she's calling.
Which one she's calling.
So she's just going to be equitable on that.
Yeah, ours, we have the bundle. We've got the internet and the cable and the phone. Phone's $20. I think the whole thing is, it's close to $200. I think.
Yeah, that's when
like
I
that.
hit my tipping point. And okay, Tom, let me give you some financial advice.
All right.
You should cut that down. Do you have a cell phone?
Cut my entertainment?
Do you have a
Are you
cell
kidding
phone?
me? Of course I do.
Does your wife have a cell phone?
She has a flip phone.
Okay, well, I'll still call that a cell phone.
Okay.
So you don't need the phone.
No.
In terms of the streaming for your television, are you renting a DVR also?
We are.
Yeah. So we were just like you, the full boat package.
So we've got Roku.
Yeah, right.
We've got all that.
So you can get a fancy subscription with a Hulu Plus or a Live This or HBO Prime This. You can get that for $60 a month, like the Cadillac of everything out there, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I just said was I'm paying $80 and I've got a phone line, so we could get rid of that $70. So you could just strip it down to your internet, use your cell phones, and then add on one of these $60 services, and you'd be at $130 a month. That's 60 plus 70.
Yeah.
I just saved you $70 a month on an annualized basis, Tom. That is getting to be close to how much? $1,000.
Whoa.
$1,000 a year. You could put that in your Roth, Tom.
I could.
Yep. And here's the biggest change that I'm noticing on my lifestyle.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting on the couch, flip, 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 flip. Now, there's some endorphins that happen with that. I'm not going to say that that's a waste of my life.
Yeah.
Just mostly a waste of my life. So now instead I'm surfing through Hulu and whatever, HBO, this stuff, binge watching until 2 a.m.
I do that on weekends.
But this is something that everybody should look at. Is these are the expenses that keep people from being able to save in their retirement accounts. $1,000 a year. Yeah. And you could still be having all the same services and conveniences right there. Look through your credit card statements. I just saw I got charged for a travel. It's called Scott's Cheap Flights. If you fly, I was looking for European flight deals, and it's an alert service, and it's only $30 a year. It's not a big deal. Yeah. But I'm on auto renew, and I forgot that I had it. Yeah. And I looked at my statement. I was like, ping. I was like, oh,
I know.
Those jerks. I haven't used that thing in 10 months since I signed up for it, So now I canceled it, and they're like, hey, your subscription is still good for another year.
That's right.
Great. Not planning on going to Europe in a while.
Well, maybe you can send tickets to somebody.
Yes.
In Europe, they can come here.
Yes.
So, well, looking at the other thing, we got to take a break here. We've got to take a break. Yeah. Getting out of control here.
Prostate governs the hour.
Well, this will be short. It's only 2 minutes, but I've got to take a minute and tell you all about the Club Tavern and Grill. They're voted Bozeman's choice best happy hour. Club Tavern and Grill offers happy hour specials every day of the week, and is one of Bozeman's most popular happy hour spots and sports bars. You'll be sure to find something you'll love from their extensive drink and food menu. They also serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and they got a kid-friendly menu as well. So to place an order for pickup or make a reservation for parties of 6 or more, go online to theclubtavernandgrill.com, theclubtavernandgrill.com. Check them out. They're in the Best Western Grand Tree on North 7th across from Walmart, and tell them Tom and Shane and Mike set you in. And we'll be right back in 2 minutes. 27 minutes after the hour, we'll have a kind of a short segment here, about 3 minutes before the bottom of the hour because we took a break late. But one of the things I wanted to ask you, we had the Democrat debate last night.
Heard about that.
Everybody's talking about free stuff, free college, we want free health care. We want,
I heard about that too.
We want all this. We want all that. We want daycare. We want everything for, the working moms and dads out there and whatever.
The people sing the song of anger.
This thing's going to go on till July at least.
Let's hope so, huh?
And we've never had this many candidates at this stage before Super Tuesday. We've never had 6 candidates before.
Okay, I'm not the political guy, but I seem to remember that 4 years ago, Trump was like one of 20 in one of these stages,
when they started, when they started.
They were already down to less than that?
They were down to less than 6 by the time,
cool.
time Super Tuesday came around because everybody went away, or most of them went away. Yeah. Fell by the wayside. And we had a lot of, it started with 20 here, and we're down to 6.
Okay.
But what I'm getting at is how much is this negativity about, because that's all they've got to sell is negativity of, how bad we're doing and the economy's bad, even though you don't see it, it's bad. It's bad for this person or it's bad for that person or we're for that person.
I mean, it's the same game plan of finding people that are unhappy about something or finding something that they can be unhappy about.
Yeah. So is that going to stall the market? Is that going to stall investing because of the uncertainty? Because we're looking at Bernie being the top guy all of a sudden. Biden, is probably going to be gone March 3rd. I don't know, but
there's nothing different about this this election cycle, except for there's probably less risk than many of it actually changing hands. No, there's going to be moments of scared stuff, but really, this is going to probably be the most boring of them all, I think.
Well,
especially if all they got is
the debates are pretty boring.
Well, I mean, if all they got is, hey, these poor people are still poor.
Yeah. We're not going to make them rich overnight.
We want to vote. Sure. We want to vote in somebody that's going to give them a bunch of money.
That's for sure.
It's not a winning platform.
Not a winning platform. All right, we got to pay some bills, get out of here, and Buffalo Restoration wants to talk to you, as well as Kiddabaloo's coming up. So we'll tell you all about that. Mike McCormick, McCormick Financial Services in the house, and advisors rather. We'll be right back after this. 24 minutes before the top of the hour, Mike McCormick is in the house. McCormick Financial Advisor. Shane Taubin, half man, half amazing, on the line with us in beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia. Tom Eagle up, your morning mayor. This is the KMMS Morning Soapbox, brought to you by the Club Tavern and Grill. And we're happy to have Mike here every Thursday. Mike, we got a question for you from our text line, 478-8298. Please ask, I only have $50,000 in my 401 and have to retire at 62 for health reasons. One, will Fidelity disperse that in monthly payments? Or two, should I put it all out, or should I pull it all out in case a Democrat gets elected and it tanks? Thank you.
Great question. Thank you.
Should we leave it or take it?
I mean, there's a couple important things missing in this. So, caveat, I don't know who this person is. I don't know how old they are now. 62 could be next month. It could be in 20 years. Probably not 20 years. Mm-hmm. But let's assume that there's a short time frame on this money. And if there's ever a short time frame on your money, it shouldn't be at much risk. There's been no losing period in the stock market in a rolling 10-year calendar. But if you don't have 10 years, there sure has heck been a lot of losing 10-year periods in the stock market. So since we're at highs right now, yes, get more conservative in that portfolio. Maybe even if you're really close to needing that money, I just had a note to a client. Might make sense to take half of it and put it in cash, really. I don't perceive a downturn, but they didn't give me a memo on the last downturn, so I'm probably not going to get one this time either. So do what you need to feel comfortable that what little you have will be there when you need it. It's way more important that it doesn't go down than it goes up by 3% or 7% or whatever. It's way more important that it doesn't go down by 40%. And I don't think it will. Yeah. I don't think it will, but you got to cover your bases.
Well, one of the things to consider.
But leave it with Fidelity. That was my other. Let me finish that. Is that Fidelity can hold cash inside the 401k.
Yeah.
And then there are provisions where you might be able to get some money out for medical emergencies. It might mean you got to move it to an IRA. A lot of the provisions that allow you to do a first-time home purchase, medical emergencies, they've expanded some of the withdrawal capabilities for some of the IRA stuff. Those provisions don't necessarily apply to 401ks. If this is a 401k, you can stay within Fidelity. But be careful as you move it out. Know what the tax consequences are. Consult your
if you
CPA.
Take possession of it, they're going to tax you for it.
Yeah,
sure.
Right.
So it's got to be moved somewhere where you don't have control of it.
So it's two different things, and this is always what people's eyes glaze over with these. There's account structures. Who owns it? How's it taxed? Is it a 401k, 403b, 5457, IRA, Roth, blah, 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 blah. Those are important things. But then inside of each one of those accounts, you're allowed to hold risky things all the way down to cash. So you don't necessarily have to move the account structure to get the risk spectrum that you're looking for.
Well, and I was also going to point out that it depends on who's the administrator of this, and I think Fidelity is pretty safe.
For the most part. Yeah, Fidelity's a great one.
they're going to look at, if a Democrat is elected and the markets go somewhere, then what's going to happen there? So let's take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number, 522-8255. Caller, you are not there. So, okay. He went away. So,
Tom, look at the headline on CNBC right now, on Fox Business.
We've got
cable cord cutting surges.
Cable cord cutting surges, Shane. That's anything new, huh?
Well, that's a trend. And so here's a question, right? When is a trend?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a trend by definition means that it's a fad, right? Is that true?
Mm-hmm.
What's the word for when it's a trend that's going to be durable? Like it's here, when fat skis came out first, I was like, it's just a trend. No, they're actually still here.
Yeah.
So in my portfolios, is it okay if I launch on a new topic?
So fad becomes a norm, I guess.
Right. Right.
Something like that. Yeah.
And that's when we want to pay attention to it, and we want to incorporate that into our financial lives.
I pushed the production button up. Not you, Shane. I'm sorry.
No,
I missed it.
For the listeners,
I'm saying, why is Shane not commenting? I'm looking over here. I'm looking over here. He's up. Why isn't he saying anything?
You haven't had me on for 10 minutes.
I apologize. I'm sorry. I pushed the button next to you up.
For listeners, you should know what Tom's working with here came from the original Apollo mission. Apollo 1, I think, that's the board that you're working with here.
Marconi used this board. I'm sorry, Shane. So we were just commenting on the Fox thing that says the cable cutting or cord cutting is becoming more and more prevalent, as we talked about in the past.
Just not in Tom's house.
We've talked about this for a year, so people had fair warning. All these stocks we quoted this morning are down. And now, miraculously, on Fox and MSNBC, they're talking about it today.
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
They're listening to you guys.
Break.
That must be it. All right. I got to take another break, and I will turn you back up, Shane, I promise. We'll be right back with Mike McCormick, McCormick Financial Advisors, right after this. Hang on. 16 minutes before the top of the hour. It is Thursday. Thursday already. Mike McCormick in the house. Shane and Tom and Half Man, Half Amazing on the line. Tom Eagle up, your morning mayor. And Mike, we missed part of what you said concerning cutting your TV, internet, and phone bill. What companies did you say you switched to? That's from Anita.
Anita, great question. I'm not really expert on this. I'm not the main driver, but the question is what TV shows do you want to watch? In our house, my teenage girls love Friends, which is absolutely wonderful and hysterical.
Yeah.
And I really don't mind watching Courtney Cox and Jennifer Aniston when they're in their 30s either.
I know. That's pretty good.
And so that means it's Hulu plus I think they call it the Plus Live HBO or something.
Yeah.
We do an add-on that will bring us up to the $60 a month. What's neat is that they're not doing, when these services first started coming out in the old days, they would say, 2-year contract. We don't have a 2-year contract. And all these licenses are going to be switching back and forth. And Shane and you know a ton more about what's going on with Disney's offering and all that stuff. So it really just comes down to saying, and this is great behavior. What do you want to watch? Do you want to watch news? Do you want to watch sitcoms? Do you want to watch new stuff? Do you want, find what you want to watch. You can check these things out for 1 month. They will auto renew. It's all about the auto renew. That's today's version of the 2-year contract, is that you don't see it unless you go through your statement. So sorry, I can't be more help.
Yeah. We did Roku, and you could go through and
Tom, you still have a cable. I don't think that you really have. I don't think you're
the only reason
a credible commentator on the subject. You're sort of a dinosaur, like the intro music you just played.
Well, there's one channel that the wife watches that's not available anywhere else I can find, or we would cut the cable.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere.
Mama knows best, and Mama gets what Mama wants. So let's go to the phones. 522-TALK is the number, 522-8255. Caller, you on the air with Mike McCormick, Shane, and myself. What's up?
Well, it's Daniel R. Peterson coming through the bitter denunciations because they were somebody was complaining that I was talking too much, but I have I'll play the freedom of speech card here and ask about this stuff that Ellen Brown brought up on Coast to Coast last night. She said there's no reason that a bank can't be publicly owned. The Bank of North Dakota has been publicly owned for over 50 years. It didn't suffer all the ups and downs of the 2008 crash. It is not in business to use its money to make money. It's trying to stimulate goods and services and rewards for new ideas. But it's the old way. As they mentioned, Bloomberg is worth 100 million of us peons. Doesn't that suggest that there's a lot of inequality going on, and that if we free the money to get to the bottom, people instead of having it locked in private banks would work better?
No,
these rules aren't set.
Well, first of all, Daniel, banks don't have a direct involvement in economic policy other than their direct involvement in it. Public companies are public, so if you are concerned about that, go to a savings and loan, and then you have a share of it directly.
yes.
So you have two good choices out there,
Or a credit union would be another one,
Yeah. So just go read about it, Daniel, and then maybe be able to.
Yeah, as far as redistribution of wealth, no, absolutely not. Nobody has a right to your money, Daniel, that you earned just because they have less than you do.
That's right, Mike. This isn't your and Daniel. This isn't your hour. It's Michael's. So we only have him once a week. So if you have a question for Mike, please ask him. Would you please?
Okay. Well, I say, do you?
Can banks be private? Is that the question? Why can't banks be private?
The rules. No. The rules are set in stone that we found the best of all possible worlds.
Now, what's the question?
Come
on, Daniel. Daniel, please ask a question. It's Mike's hour. Just ask a question, please. Ask a question.
What is set in stone about the way the economy is set up right now that can't be changed with Bernie's new ideas?
Okay. All right.
Hey, that's a good question.
Yeah, that is a good question.
We did get it out there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm not that familiar with Bernie's ideas. I'm familiar with the principle of and Jim Cramer was commenting on it this morning.
Yeah.
He says, I'm not sure this is socialism. It sounds more like communism. Now, to quote Ferris Bueller, I'm not really in favor of any isms.
Yeah. I'll agree with that. Yeah.
Fundamentally, this is always back to the same fundamental argument of, do we tax and allow the government to choose where the money goes, or do we leave the money with the consumer and allow them to choose where the money goes? Am I right, Shane? That's fundamentally this argument, right?
It's like Trump saying, "I don't want to have a war in a country that ends in a stand."
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, right. So right now, the team that has the ball is the team that leaves the wealth with the individuals and allows them to choose where they want to spend their money.
Sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's let that. We're letting that play out. We're going to probably let it play out for another 4 years. Today's environment aside, 77% of all incumbent presidents win again. Today's economy is great. Even the people that don't have much money, they still are buying Starbucks, having cell phones, able to buy a car on little credit. They have a place to live. I'm not saying that there's not inequality. I'm not saying that there's people that are not left by this, but standard of living, even for maybe the bottom quartile, we're not, of course, there's the bottom 10% that's really bad off, but is really good.
Yeah.
So things are pretty good. We're going to see how this fleshes out. My personal belief is that there needs to be a middle road to this. The budget, the tax cutting, the deficit, are the entitlements. There's going to be a day reckoning for this. I mean, Michigan still hasn't, Detroit still hasn't come out of all of their overpromises.
Sure.
So yes, but today the party is raging. The party's on. It probably won't change. There's something that I would like to shift to, if I can, Tom.
Sure.
There's an important change that I'm making in our model portfolios also, and it's one that is probably a little bit, not a little bit, probably pretty contentious in front of you, Tom, and that has to do with climate change.
All right. Let's hold that till we come back.
Okay.
Because we all want to hear about that.
Yeah. Sit on it.
All right.
Stay tuned. Don't change that dial.
We'll be right back with climate change and Mike McCormick right after this.
Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, bum, bum. All right, 7 minutes, Mike. You got to get climate change in 7 minutes. Can you do it?
I can.
All right, go for it.
I can. So in the 15-second break, I got into it deep with you.
Yeah, right.
Here's how I look at it.
Yeah.
This is not about what I believe.
Yeah.
This is not about what you believe.
Okay.
This is about recognizing that there is a trend happening
Mm-hmm.
that, like cutting the cable, like electric cars, seems to be becoming more than a trend. It's not a fad. The trend is becoming a norm. I don't know. I should have a better word for this. Things that we should pay attention to if you're worried about your money.
Mm-hmm.
BlackRock is the largest manager of assets on the planet. They're bigger than Vanguard. They're bigger than Schwab. They're bigger than E-Trade. And they made a pledge that they will not be supporting companies that have more than 25% of their income from fossil fuels. Recently, Jeff Bezos, who's done very little philanthropy, he's put his money into his business. He just said he's starting a $10 billion fund for climate change and environmental social governance. If you log on to Yahoo and you type in a stock ticker, there's a new metric in there that talks about environmental social governance metrics for it. There's a coalition of companies that are calling things to be that they're trying to do businesses with what they call a double or a triple bottom line, where it's not just about profit. Mm-hmm. Every company has a sustainability division. Every large publicly traded company now has a sustainability division there. What I am noticing is that there is money being spent on this, and that there is value being created by, you call it greenwashing, call it really doing something important, call it doing something that's not important, whatever you want to call it. As a fiduciary for my clients and a steward of their assets, I need to pay attention to this, and I need to have an answer. And regardless of if we're going to hell in a handbasket or not, if this is the behavior of our economy, if this is the way that the big money is going, I need to be able to respond in a way that represents my client's best interests. It's not my job to tell people, I think you should be worried about climate change. I think you should become a vegan, Tom. I think that you should ride your bike to work. These are things.
Ouch.
These are things that are important. And it's not my job to try and convince you, Tom, that climate change is real, and that your poll that you put out the other day is not a fair. You load these questions, which is humorous.
I loaded. I said,
we're not. I've got a few minutes here.
Okay,
it's not my job.
Yeah.
My job is to say, you've entrusted me with your money to accomplish your goals with the least amount of risk. I am looking at, we are incorporating environmental, socially responsible aspects into our investing policies, and we're paying attention to it.
All right. In that case, you need to consider investing in Walmart, because Walmart, they're going to spend $600 million a year to increase the efficiency of their fleet. They're working to reduce energy in the stores by 30% and cut solid waste by 25%. And they have 3 stores in one in Texas, one in Colorado, one in Las Vegas that will use wind turbines, solar panels, fuel capable boilers, water cooled refrigerators, and they have gardens on the top. And they're the largest purchaser of organic cotton in the world. And they actually have a really good organic line. This is different maybe from ESG, but they're getting pretty trendy. And some packaging in their store, they could save $2.4 million a year, 3,800 trees, and 1 million barrels of oil. And they save $20 million, I think, by shortening the length of their receipts in their cash registers.
Yeah, that's an obvious one, right? Who needs a 2-foot-long receipt?
I don't need a 2-foot-long receipt, so yeah.
Anyway, thanks for allowing me to get that out there. No. But it's something that I feel it's time for people to recognize that if you're worried about your money, you need to be paying attention to things that are trends that are likely to become long-term trends.
Yeah. But I think what I'm alluding to here with Walmart is not making these changes because of global climate change or anything else. They're making those changes because they're saving them money.
Yeah.
And that's the issue. If you want to incentivize climate change, then put your money where your mouth is, and show a business
Right.
that if you do this, it's going to save you money.
And there's
Or a homeowner, if you do this, you're going to save something. So not that you're going to save the planet.
Which is saving the planet's always a nice idea.
It is a good idea, but there's no incentive
and
to do it.
Right. And so I did attend the climate change talk 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
And bottom line is that if anybody's listening, education doesn't hurt, right? And so I went to it and listened to it. And the idea that was presented was that sometimes there's emergencies that you can't feel, you can't see, and they still should be addressed. And I thought that was an interesting idea. Certainly with our health, sometimes you get a report like, "Hey, you're going to die," and you're like, "I feel great,"
Yeah.
But you need to do all these things,
True.
So there's analogies for this.
That's true.
But I suspect that in the next, if I'm allowed to stay on this show after coming out, that we're going to see more shifts along these lines.
Yeah.
And if I'm managing clients' money prudently, I should be aware of them.
That's true. And I don't fault you at all.
Sure.
And you will be back.
I hope so.
Of course you will.
Thanks for that.
All right.
Thanks for the love. Thank you, Shane.
Thank you, Mike. I hope you have a great weekend.
I certainly do. I always do.
All right, man. Thanks for coming in.
Right on. See you next week.
All right. Shane and I will be back, and we'll talk about some local stuff. And we've got some text messages and all that, so we'll get to those.
Great
and
listener
our app
involvement.
chat, and we'll get everybody taken care of here. Trust me on that. We'll be back right after this. Stay tuned.